Welcome back. We're getting started on multiplying monomials. Now, that means multiplying. Obviously, we know what that means. And monomials means little one pieces, right? These are monomials is like one number. Number, spell it please. There we go. So if you see like monomials, mono means one. So this is like a little one number. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about binomials, like a bicycle. It's going to have two. So it is going to get considerably harder tomorrow. For today, it should be almost familiar. Should be pretty easy. Now, the main thing is we need to talk about multiplying variables together, okay? And students get really mixed up when they half pay attention and they watch the YouTube during the notes and they're distracted, because multiplying and adding have very different rules, okay? So to start off on the bottom, I'm going to make a big adding and multiplying kind of piece. This is just in the bottom corner a little bit. And we're going to start off with adding, you know, maybe we do like 5x plus 2x. And then we'll do the same thing over here. 5x times 2x. So when it comes to adding, we know how to do this, right? How do we add 5x and 2x together? 5 plus 2 makes 7. And then what do we do with the x's? What do you say? So we just did this adding. When we add 5x's and 2x's, we get 7x. That's it, right? When we do the adding, no changes whatsoever. We literally just did the warm-up where we added these things together. You do not change the letters, okay? So from yesterday, we added the big. We did not touch the letters. We left them completely the same, okay? Now, if we read the top of the notes, it says to multiply the big numbers, which is the coefficients, okay? So if we're going to multiply them, what is 5 times 2? 10. And then it says to add the small numbers, which is the exponents. So this is definitely different. When we did adding, it was totally leave the numbers alone. When we do multiplying now, you have to change the letters. You have to change the exponents. You have to add them up, which is very strange. Basically what's going on here is how many x's do we have in the left piece? 1. How many x's do we have in the right piece? 1. And so what we're going to do is when we combine these together with multiplying, it's 1 over here and 1 over here makes 2. So when it comes to multiplying, we're going to be combining those things together. All right. Now, for the first kind of start of this, multiplying seems a lot harder because for adding, you know, you have to add the big numbers and then you just get to leave the small numbers, the exponents, the variables alone. Now, when it comes to adding, let's do 5x squared plus 3x. And then let's do the same thing over here, 5x squared 3x. And so when we do this, over on the adding side, what can we do with these two pieces? The reality is nothing. We cannot combine, okay? I'm going to write cannot combine. That's the answer, right? That's as good as it gets. 5x squared plus 3x cannot combine. When it comes to the multiplying, The reality is that you can multiply anything together, okay? Adding, very picky. Multiplying, not picky at all. You can always multiply terms together. So when we multiply these, we are allowed to do it. We are allowed to say that 5 times 3 makes 15. And then just count up the x's. How many x's do we have? 1, 2, 3. Right? There's 2 over here. There's 1 in the second term. And so 2 plus 1 makes x with a little 3 exponent, or x cubed, we could call it. So what I'm getting at down here, when it comes to multiplying, you have to change the letters. But it's not difficult. You just add them up, right? I see 1 and 1, that makes 2. I see 2 and 1, that makes 3. Also, a very big difference is that you can multiply anything together. There's really no such thing as like terms when it comes to multiplying. Okay, let's go through these questions. At this point, we've learned everything as far as multiplying, and we should be able to just power through these really quickly. For number 1, we need to multiply these together. We're going to multiply the two. We're going to be multiplying the two coefficients. Now, you know, it's almost too easy, too weird, right? This is like a 1x cubed and a 1x squared. What's 1 times 1? Just a 1, right? You know, whatever. And then when it comes to the exponents, I know that these are not like terms, but that doesn't matter. How many x's should we have? We've got 3, and we've got 2. We have 5. 5 x's. Literally just 3 plus 2. We're talking about like actual kindergarten math is what we just did there. Add it up. 3 plus 2 makes 5. Okay? Now this question, I'm going to put a highlighter on it. This is probably the most likely question that you're going to miss on the whole piece of paper. Even though you see some really crazy stuff going on down here, as silly and easy as it looks, this is the most common error, right? So I'll give you 2 options. Is this one going to be x power 5, or is this one going to be x power 6? What do you think the answer is going to be for this question? I heard some 5s. I heard some 6s. Just keep it real simple. How many x's do we have? Right? How many x's do we have? All you got to do is just add them up. How many do you have? Obviously, we have 3 right here. And obviously, we have 2 right here. And how many do we have in this first parentheses? Just 1. And so what's 1 plus 2 plus 3? Well, 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. So we're going with x power 6, not x power 5. This is, I gave it a highlighter. I tried to be as clear as I could. This is a very often missed question. So take it serious. If you see one like this, focus on it. Okay. Number 3, at this point, we're going to pick up our pace because we know how to do this. We're going to start going much faster. So for question number 3, we're going to need to multiply the big numbers out front. That's a negative 8 times 1. What's negative 8 times 1? Just negative 8. And then we need to add up the x's. We've got 3 and 5. How many is that? 8. Done. Easy. Easy question. It only takes us 10 seconds. Multiply them, add them. Let's go to number 4. Multiply the coefficients, a 6 and a 3. Multiply it together, you get 18. And then look at the letters. Add them up. How many x's do we have total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 x's. We've got 4 in the first term. We have 1 in the second term, so we have 5 total. Now, question number 5 is longer, but the reality is you can totally handle this, okay? We're going to be working on these kind of one piece at a time, right? So to start, let's look at these coefficients, okay? It's 2 and negative 3. You know what? Let's just use Desmos. 2 times negative 3, negative 12, right? Doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. Just multiply them together, negative 12. And now, move on and look at your x's. I'll grab an orange highlighter here. We have 4 x's, 3 x's, 1 x. Now remember, you kind of have to switch your brain a little bit because it's multiplying the coefficients, but then it's just going to be adding the exponents. So 4 plus 3 plus 1. 8. X power 8. And then we're going to finish with that last one there with the y's. Now in the first one, we have no y's. So that's like having 0 y's. So you know what? Don't even think about the y's from the first piece. We have 2 y's and 3 y's. How many y's is that? 5. I mean, I hope that you're feeling pretty confident. Literally, it's just like first grade math. Add up the numbers. That's it. Okay, keep it simple in your head. Stay confident. Easy peasy. Okay. Now, let's go to number 6. Again, they're trying to make it more complicated for you, but the reality is, if you have Desmos, if you know how to add up small numbers, then you can solve this. So, thinking about the coefficients, 8, negative 6, and then a fraction. That's okay. We have Desmos. 8 times negative 6 times 5 divided by 6. Negative 40, right? Just moving slowly, using Desmos. Negative 40. Is that somebody knocking on the door? I can't tell. Then if we think about the x terms, we have 3 here. In the first one, we have 2 x's. In the middle one, how many x's do we have?
1.
So I want to be, super clear here that if you see something like this, okay, that this 3 is only connected to the y. All right. This right here is 1x and 3y. Sometimes students, they're like, oh, well, there's a 3. That means everything is a 3. Not really how it works. This 3 is only directly touching the y. So back to question number 6. This is 2 x's. This right here is only 1 single x and 3. So this is 2, 1, 3. That should be 6 total. 2 plus 1 is 3 plus 3 is 6. And then lastly, you guys tell me how many y's do we have? How many y's we got? We have 9. And you know what? If adding up 3 different numbers is hard, a lot to keep in your head, then just go here, right? 3 plus 2 plus 4. It's 9, right? Use Desmos. Can't get it wrong. All right, we're going to go to this number 8 before we get to number 7. If we look at number 8, what are we going to do here for number 8? Anybody got any ideas what's going on for number 8? It's going to be what? You said 6x like that? That's the whole answer? So good point. When it comes to adding, this is a plus sign. So first of all, if you didn't recognize that this was a plus sign, that's obviously very important. Number 8 is different from number 6 and is different from number 4 because this one has a plus sign in there. But when it comes to adding, I'm more so using this example because x squared and x cannot combine together because these are different terms. So when I look at question number 8, I know for multiplying, we are used to everything multiplies together. Everybody's good. We all multiply together. But when it comes to adding, that is not the case. Okay? 6x is not where we need to go. This question right here, you can't do anything. There's no way to add these together. That's a x power 6, x power 8. They are not like terms. These are cannot combine questions. Cannot combine. The answer, I guess, is just do nothing because there's nothing you can do. So what normally happens is students get in their brain and they're like, multiply, multiply, everything multiplies, everybody wins. And then they get an adding question, which should be much easier, and their brain doesn't quite switch back to adding. When you add, you have to have like terms, and these are not like terms. Okay, now we're going to do question number 7. All right, I'll be honest with you, question number 7 is probably, and like I said, I'll just be honest with you, this is probably hardest thing on test. Okay? Now, I don't think that this is actually super hard, but this is something that students just always struggle with. So I'm being honest with you. Hardest thing on the test. Let's get a nice little box around this. Here we go. Hope you're focused up. Hope you paused the YouTube video. You know, the phone's not distracting you and you're ready to consider this question. When we have these two, these are multiplied. Okay, cool. When it comes to multiplying, we can multiply anything together. All right? So, when it comes to multiplying, let's just multiply it together. We're going to consider the big numbers first, which is 4 and 2. And what's 4 times 2? 8. All right, easy so far, right? Up next, we want to multiply the letters together. And when we multiply the letters together, it's like we're adding them together, right? So when I look at number 3, 3 x's, 5 x's, add them up, you get 8. 3 plus 5 makes 8. Easy, okay? Now, what makes number 7 so difficult, obviously, is that we have this crazy exponent, okay? We have 2y and we have 8y plus 3, all right? Now, the truth is, we're supposed to add up the exponents. All we need to do is add up the exponents. All right? It's the same rule. 3 plus 5, add them together. Even when this is really crazy, you just got to add them together. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of like grab both of these for a second. And I'm just going to do a little math over here. 2y, that's the first one. 8y plus 3, that's the second one. And remember, all you got to do is add up the exponents. Just like we did 3 plus 5 makes 8, we're just going to add them up. Okay, and I know this is more complicated than 3 plus 5, but it's not that much more complicated. This is a question that we did on Friday. This is a question that we did in the warm-up. If we only look right here, 2y plus 8y plus 3, when it comes to adding, you have to add like terms. So I know that this 2y can combine with this 8y. And so what's 2 plus 2y's plus 8y's is going to be 10y's. And then what do we do with this plus 3? It doesn't really have any friends. It doesn't really have any like terms. Just bring it along and put a little plus 3. Okay. Here's where I'm at. I'll be honest with you. This is one of the most frustrating things for me to teach all year because honestly, it just feels like students never quite give it a chance, never quite like focus on it and really try. It is intimidating. It is a little bit scary looking, but it's not actually that crazy. You take the exponent and you just add them together, right? And this, adding them together, isn't all that bad. We did this on Friday. Now, what we're left over right here, this is the exponent. Okay, so we're going to take all of this, 10y plus 3, and we're going to say the exponent is 10y plus 3. I know it's considerably more weird than the rest of the questions. I gave it a big outline. I literally wrote on here, hardest thing on the test. But the reality is, you're just going to add these two things up. Okay? I'm going to do a little bit of a question down here just to show you that you can totally do this. Okay? We'll do parentheses like this. We'll do maybe 3 and 7. We'll do x with a 6y plus 1. X with a 2y minus 3. And so this one's theoretically even harder than the last question because we have, you know, a little bit more complicated exponents. But the reality is 2 steps. Take the big numbers, 3, 7, multiply them together. 3 times 7, 21. Then take the exponents. And even though these exponents are crazy and they look more difficult, just add them together. Now, normally when I do this, I like to, you know, actually do some math down here. And so I'll just rewrite them. 6y plus 1 plus 2y minus 3. Add them together. 6y's and 2y's is 8y's because you just add them up. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. And so what I just did, this thing right here, is the exponent. So I'm going to write x and then all of that, 8y minus 2. I wrote on there, I understand it's difficult, I understand it seems a little crazy. It's the same rules as always. Multiply the big numbers, add the small numbers. And I know that adding these small numbers is not as easy as 2 plus 5, but it's still doable. You can still get the answer. All right, that's multiplying monomials. Now, if that question makes you think, oh my God, this is super hard, don't forget that the rest of these questions are super easy, okay? 6 times 3 is 18. 4 and 1, you just add them up, makes 5. 1 and 1 makes 1 because you multiply. 3 and 2, you need to add those numbers, you get 5. Most of these questions you can do in your head. I know that question number 7 is a little crazy. If you take it serious, if you come back to this video when you get stuck, you will get the answer. You are smart enough, no doubt, to solve number 7. That's it for monomials.